Elesin Oba, the King's Horseman is an adaptation from Wole Soyinka's Death and the King's Horseman, and at the same time it's also a true life story. Now I'm going to tell you these and many more today as I take time to talk about this movie and give my ratings for this movie. Now before we get into the major details of this movie, please stay subscribed to this channel by clicking the subscribe button on the screen below and also the bell notifications beside it. Like this video, comment and share maybe after you're done watching. The movie Elesin Oba was directed by Biyi Dandele, and it is a collaboration between Ebonylife and Netflix. Now it is a historic drama movie and it was an adaptation from Wole Soyinka's Death and the King's Horseman, but it was also a real life story of what happened during the colonial time in Nigerian history. I think that should be in Ogun State. Now I really don't have time to call the cast list of this movie because let's face it, most of the names are hardly pronounceable, so I think I'll just skip that. But I need to tell you something about the director. He unfortunately died before this movie could get released, so I don't think I'll be doing any much judgment in this movie. I'm just going to tell you how I feel about most of the things that happened and we'll just move on from there. Speaking about the movie, now this movie is majorly told using music, especially Yoruba music, Yoruba instruments and sound engineering that basically focuses on the music and makes the music much more listenable, despite the fact that we wouldn't really understand the language anyways. But I think that was the way the director wanted to tell his story, because you would expect the same thing from the stage play anyways. It was more of idiomatic and proverbs in this movie as well. And if you listen to the dialogue of this movie, you would know that yes, they did try their best to make sure that they don't deviate from the stage play version. So I think the director did a good job. Aside the nudity aspect, I think the director had more focus on cultural tradition. He had more focus on costumes, he had more focus on prop sets and basically the entire design of the production. So he just told his story using a ton of technical elements aside music, and also he tried in the aspect of the communication, in the communication between the white men and the Yoruba people. He tried in the communication. The movie does a good job in passing the original moral of Wole Soyinka into this movie. It does that by showing some dramatic instances, especially when Mr. Pringins and his wife Jane were wearing dresses that actually belonged to some cultures of this country, and when they were like seeing the practice of the ritual suicide of the horseman as as something of an abomination to them. Now Wole Soyinka originally did this play not because he wanted to antagonize the Europeans, but he wanted both the Africans and the Europeans to come together and try to understand each other's traditions, each other's beliefs, each other's ideologies. And that is the same exact thing that this movie does for us. It tries to make us understand that just because we believe in this doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is wrong. It's just a matter of understanding. And the movie also makes us realize that with with real communication, we can actually learn to adjust to other people's traditions. So I give the actors and the directing and all the other production management credit for making sure that the idea of the drama generally was passed in every single way possible. Now, the movie ended tragically. Well, both the father, which is Elesin, and the son Olunde died, but Olunde sacrificed himself, while the Elesin obviously committed suicide by hanging himself somehow with the chains. So that way the story was kind of like it had an embarrassing ending for the Horseman especially. But in all, I just loved the way they did everything. It was really unexpected, especially for somebody like me who hasn't read the stage play before. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know that the man would end up killing himself anyways. So they really did a good job. Only the people who have read the stage play before would actually know what to expect. But anyhow, like I said, they did a good job. But my only problem is that how could the Europeans be communicating with the Yoruba people in different languages, and yet there was no instance of interpretation between the two languages? Like, even though I have every reason to just overlook it, but it gave me worry, because no matter how much the Europeans had stayed in Africa, I don't think it's enough for them to totally understand the language. And even that, I don't think it's enough for the Yoruba man to totally understand English, especially at that time. So it really didn't make sense to me that there was no instance of interpretation between either languages, and it was as if they were communicating very well. And to me, I just don't buy that side of the story, the communication aspect. But whether or not, maybe that was their own way of just passing the message and just letting it slide without causing any kind of communication problems. Now, in the end, I am giving this movie a 9.5 out of 10. The reason why I won't give it a complete 10 is because like I said earlier, I really have problems with the fact that there was no instance of interpretation between the two languages. There was no instance. It was as if they were just communicating and they understood themselves very well, which I had a problem with, because as at that time, I doubt that they would have been able to understand each other's languages so well, and yet they really didn't understand each other's traditions and culture and everything. So that was really a problem to me, but it wasn't enough for me to give them a bad review. It was something that I just decided to let it slide just like that. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this review. I hope I've managed to say a lot of things you wanted to hear about this movie, but the cast and some of the crew, I couldn't really do that because most of these names are hardly pronounceable, so I just had to let it go. But maybe in other subsequent reviews on this channel, I will pay focus on the cast. Please stay subscribed to this channel by clicking the bell notification and the subscribe button beside each other. Also, you can check the description for my links, my playlists, and my social links. All of them are in the description below, so you can choose which link you want to click on, which video you want to watch, and where you want to follow me on aside YouTube. Now, for those of you who will make a comment on this video, I will definitely put it out in my next video. But for now, this is a comment made by one of my friends, longtime friends, before I even came back to YouTube. So I'm thanking her for this comment, and even though it doesn't really like appreciate the video, but anyways, I just thank her for this comment. Meanwhile, if you make your own comment, I will definitely put it in the next video. But until then, please stay safe and stay subscribed to this channel. Goodbye.